Hi everybody, welcome back, or welcome if you are new. In today's video I am going to be going through my 2025 budget setup. I am really looking forward to getting back on track with my budgeting and doing a bunch of savings challenges and all of that type of stuff. So let's go ahead and walk through what my thing says. Oh, and by the way, here's my desk tag, and it says, "It's fine, I'm fine, everything's fine," with the coffee drip. So, but first off, we are going to be in an Erin Condren monthly notebook again. However, this one is not the 7x9, it is the 8.5x11. And I just felt like I needed some more room, basically, is what I felt like. My handwriting is getting worse as I'm getting older and everything. So it's the monthly setup. So we have the initial pages with the 2024, 2025, whatever you want to do with this stuff over here. I have no plans so far on this, so it is what it is, a blank page, and then we jump right into the monthly spread for January. I will be setting this up later. It's not time for me to set it up because I don't know what my stuff is. But you have the monthly spread, and this is where I track my monthly expenses. And I've already created the trackers. I've already printed them out. I've already cut them, all of that type of stuff for right here. And so for this size, so I'm prepared when it comes to January. I also have already printed out the stickers that I'm going to use for January and everything. I am not going to use this page, I don't think, except for maybe say like important dates or something like that. And if I'm working on any important projects that might be like budgetary type things. But right now I have no plans to use this page. I may adopt something later on in the year, but right now we're just trying to get back on to doing budgets and filming them and sharing it with you guys and everything. So after that, you have a bunch of blank pages. Well, not blank, but lined pages. And this is where I've created my own stickers to kind of follow the path that works for me. When it comes to budgeting, I do get paid twice a month. So I know how much I'm going to get every single month pretty much, except for like around the beginning of the year when there's going to be a little bit of difference on what is my actual take-home pay because of all the changes in the taxes for the next year and insurance and, you know, stuff like that that just might increase here and there. And then it does the same setup all the way through December. And at the end of December, I've left some room for the same amount of room for lined pages, and moved into the lined page tab to set up my yearly trackers. Moving into the yearly trackers, and I've already filled out all of this, and the only thing that I didn't quite know when I set this up was how much my utilities were for December for this year for natural gas, and it actually was $29 and change. So rounding up to 30 was perfectly fine for me to figure out kind of what I need to budget for these three bills going into next year. So little history of what is going on over here. Way back when I seriously had the worst paying jobs ever and had to basically really budget every single paycheck, and on those months I got paid bi-weekly, and on those months where you would get a third paycheck, I unfortunately had to budget that third paycheck for the beginning bills for the next month. So I never got a magic month or something like that. I was always budgeting. Every single paycheck had to budget for the next 2 weeks. That's how I lived, and I am so glad I don't live that way. I hated it. I never want to go back to that. And the only way that I was able to get out of that was to pay off all of my debt. And we're back in debt, so it's time to get back and focus on doing all of that. So, but when I was in that living paycheck to paycheck, doing this really helped, especially during the summer months when my bills increased because I live in the south of the US And it gets really hot here in Houston in the summer times, and our electric bills can get up to $300. Now, anybody can kind of implement this if, say, they live in the northern US, Canada, you know, any place where it gets extremely cold and you're having to run heat during the winter time. So you can do the opposite where you save for winter bills, whereas in the summertime you don't have to run any AC. You may not even have AC in the north. But down here, we live by our ACs. So I went ahead and started basically figuring out how much the previous year I had spent on all of the electric bills, all the natural gas, and all the water bills. Those are the three that always fluctuate month to month. And I know with some providers you can do where they figure this all out and that's what you pay for the month, and you have one set fee for the month, and then it may fluctuate the next year. It was actually cheaper for me to do it this way than it was to do it, have someone else figure it out. So I did look at this before I started it all. But basically it's, I take all the previous year's electric bills, get the total, get the average, and then I bump it up just to make sure, because prices change, contracts change, things like that. Same thing with natural gas. I got the average for the previous year, bumped it up to the nearest $5 mark, and then same with the water. Now, what's kind of going on over here with the water, I have a whole video on it, and I will try to pin it to a card up here somewhere. But basically, for years, I have been paying too much to the water company because they had installed the incorrect meter. So the flow was, I was getting overcharged for the amount of flow that was actually going through the meter, because the meter was a 1-inch meter and not a 5/8 inch meter that I was getting billed for. So it was calculating that I was using more water than I actually was. So they had to figure out when they installed that meter, and I had my meter replaced in September. It didn't go into effect until sometime in March, where they kind of have given me a credit where I technically don't have to pay my water bill for the next 5 to 7 years, depending on how much water I use every month. So fun fact. But that investigation started way back in August of last year, and figuring out that I was getting charged way too much water, and figured that out. So, and I luckily was able to work with the city and, you know, gave them some time to figure it out. And once they figured it out, then everything's been corrected and everything like that. So, but I still am budgeting for water, because one day I'm going to run out of the money that is credited to my account, and I will have to pay a water bill again. So I still budget for $50 every single month for water, even though I know I'm not paying any, I mean, I'm technically paying water, but it's coming off of the credit. So I don't want to forget that I have a water bill, basically. So that's kind of what I've done here. So down here I have estimated for 2025. So every month on my electric, I'm going to do $145, natural $35. This did not change much. This went down. This might change because of 1 month, July, I did not have power to my house for 14. It was a long time because I had a tree fall on my house during Hurricane Beryl, and I did not have power to my house for how many days? 7 days after the storm. And then I also had turned off the breaker, because having a tree fall through your house, I want to make sure there's no electrical damage. But I had to wait until the electricity turned on for an electrician to come out to double check everything. So it wasn't until let's see, hurricane happened on a Monday. Power came up a complete week later on Tuesday. And then I didn't get an electrician back into the house until the following Friday. So it was a good, 2 weeks, 10 to something days. So this may not be the right average, basically, but we're going to say it is, because I've had the house re-insulated and everything. So hopefully this will be the right amount to budget every single month. And basically I'll get into what happens maybe at some point. No, we'll talk about it now. So say in January when I get my electric, natural gas, and water bills, and you see they're all below the budgeted amount, what happens here is that I'll take the budgeted amount minus the actual, and whatever is remaining I will throw into a savings account that is for summer bills. So that way when I get bills that the actual amount is more than the budgeted amount, I will pull from that summer bills sinking fund or rainy day fund or whatever you want to call it. And that way I'm not having to pull out of the actual monthly expenses to cover that. I have it already saved up and I can cover it basically. And I had been putting a lot more with not having water happen. So I actually ended up taking $600 out of my summer bill sinking fund that I didn't need at, I think in October or November, because my bills started going down. And I was able to put that towards debt and pay off some debt as well. So that's kind of what I plan on doing again, is that whatever I don't use for that year, I take out and put into either paying off debt or I put into savings or something like that. Christmas funds, something like that. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the 2025 budget. So I'm putting an amount here that is after taxes, insurance, all of the things are taken out, medical, all of the things, retirement, all of it. That's approximately my take-home pay. And this is approximately how much I get monthly. I took that divided by 12. That is not what I get actually take home. There is a bonus that is thrown in there, and I probably should not have put that in there, thinking back at it, but that's okay. On this one, I am kind of doing the, oh, by the way, single income, I own my house, I have 7, 8, 9 cats. 6 of them live inside. It is me and all the cats. Yes, I am a crazy cat lady. So I am able to live comfortably with that amount of money. Sometimes, though, I struggle, but once we get out of debt, we won't be struggling. Anyways, going into the electric, I kind of took the 145 times 12. That's the yearly budget. I did the same thing where I kind of was like, this is kind of how much I want to budget for the month, and it fits into everything. And these are my variable expenses, so they are everything that kind of fluctuates and everything. We'll talk about sinking funds, what all is included that later. And then we have all of the fixed expenses that they don't change except for maybe like the yearly increases or something like that. So let's go ahead down here, and based off of the budgeted income minus the variable and fixed expenses, it is saying that I should be able to save $13,476 for the year, which is $1,120 approximately every month. And right now, that's what I should be saving. That is not any extra to debt, which I am trying to pay off some debt. And we'll go through debt stuff here in a moment. Okay, here we're talking about the sinking funds. So I have, the way my brain works, I cannot have just one savings account for all of these, and I have to open up multiple savings account, because if I see one savings account with one big total, I will think I have the money and I will just pull from it, and then I won't have the money to cover for things. So my brain has to work where I have to compartmentalize things and have it like severely compartmentalized. So I have one for business, and this is to pay for my website, for like the yearly renewals and maintenance of things that I know for a fact happen with any of my business ventures and things like that. Anything to do with auto. So yearly I have to get my inspection and registration on my car. I also have insurance. I do my insurance every 6 months, so I have to save up to be able to afford it. And my car is, I think the January statement is $900, 980 something, I'm not sure. But so I just kind of average out 2,000 because I don't know if it's going to increase the second half of the year or not. Maintenance, this is for getting tires, as I got a flat tire leaving my mom's house after Thanksgiving. Not her fault. There was a screw with a washer that got stuck in the tread of the tires, and I kid you not, that thing, opened up the door of my car and I just hear the air escaping from the tire. So there was, and I don't have a spare tire. So their maintenance things are happening on the car, so saving up for maintenance type things. Then I moved my entertainment and crafts that I had as like monthly expenses. I went ahead and, because I'm not actually saving for them, I moved them into a savings account. So I had clothing in here, and honestly, I would only put $25 into clothing, and I would spend way more than that every single month on clothing, between shoes and all of that type of stuff. So I instead was like, okay, let me do entertainment, crafts, getting planners, all concerts, books, movies, all of that type of stuff. So in subcategories in entertainment, I do want to go to concerts, so I'm saving up for concerts. Crafts, again, that is for planners, stickers, things to go into doing crafty things if I want to do crocheting or painting or, you know, all of that type of stuff. Then books and movies, that, you know, to go to the movie theaters, to buy any books, although I do have a Kindle Unlimited subscription and I've been sticking to that. I also need to go renew my library card and try to use Libby and things like that through all of that, and try not to spend any money on books except for the Kindle Unlimited, which I debating on if I'm going to get rid of it or not. So that's the other thing. I save for gifts every year for birthday presents and Christmas. So $600 for my mom and my 2 sisters and co-workers and things like that. That's enough for the family. Then house. Since I own my house, I don't have a mortgage, I don't have to pay rent. So I have to save up for paying the taxes, the homeowners association, any permits, any insurance, the maintenance, any refreshes. So that's where all the categories are at. And this taxes include property taxes and school taxes. I live in Texas. We do not have income tax. We have like state income tax, so we have to pay a lot in property taxes, and we have a sales tax as well. So I have an HOA, homeowners association, and also in the area that I live, we have trails that go through all the different subdivisions here, and then I have an alarm permit to have the security alarm on the house. I live in the city of Houston, and it is a permit required by the city. Then, of course, having house insurance, I have both dwelling and flood insurance as well. Maintenance to repair toilets, fences, whatnot. It's not much because I'm paying a lot towards debt. So eventually I want to change that to where I can put more into house to be able to afford the next time when a tree falls on my house. Which I hope will not be for another, 50 years. Things like that. But you never know what's going to happen when you live in an area that gets hurricanes and strong winds. Then any refreshes. I'm still working through on making the house my house, and I am trying to do room refreshes throughout the house, and I still need to work on my office, the front room, the TV room, removing carpet, and then I eventually need to get into the kitchen and do stuff like that. So that's what that's for the refreshes. Medical, this is to pay for any co-pays or things that my insurance won't actually pay for, and also to save up for in case I ever have to be checked into the hospital for anything, to be able to cover the hospital fees. which isn't a lot because my deductible is a lot more than that, but eventually we hope to get every year to get a little bit more saved up and eventually have to where there's the hospital deductible fee and everything like that. Then I have a bunch of yearly subscriptions that I just put money aside every single month to be able to afford them. I am half debating on if I want to get rid of my Amazon Prime or not. Yeah, that's where we're at. I don't know if I am or not. I do have a yearly subscription to Quicken, and that's my kind of where I have electronically, where I kind of look at it to make sure it matches here in a way. Then I have a Viki, which is kind of like Netflix. It's a platform to watch a lot of Asian TV shows that aren't on Netflix. There are some that are on Netflix, but there's a lot that are not on Netflix. And then any other type of apps for phones or anything like that that just I can't account for that I forget about. I'm thinking like Duolingo, and I used to have Noom, a bunch of these other things that you kind of forget about until they pop up and it's like, oh yeah. But yeah, and here's where I have the summer bills. So we're starting off with 0. I don't plan to, right now it's like, I don't plan to put anything in there until I do the budgeted minus the actual and figure it out from there. Taxes, this is to pay for doing the taxes at the end of the year, or every year for the service that I use to do the taxes, to do my taxes for me, to file them. My trash is a quarterly payment, so I save up for that. It's I think at $100 or more, a little bit more than $100 every quarter. And they do pick up twice a week, and they pick up recycling once a week. So, you know, again, when I lived paycheck to paycheck, I forgot about trash, and that was another expense that was just kind of like, I forgot about it. So setting up a sinking fund for it was what I needed to do to be able to not be surprised by it when it popped up for that month. Vacation, we all want to go on a vacation. So I'm saving up for one. And then with the amount of cats that I have in my house, I need to have a savings account for vet bills. So we're starting off the year strong in January with one of the kittens, the female kitten. The kittens are 5 months old. The female kitten is going to get spayed on the 6th. The 3 older boys are going to have their annual exams on the 8th. And then on January 21st, the 2 male kittens will go and get neutered. And then who knows what the vet's going to find when the older boys go in for their yearly exam. So don't know if I'm going to have any teeth cleaning or anything like that. Hopefully they're healthy, but you never know. They are going to be 5 next year. So, yeah. I don't have kids, but I have cats. And the blue highlight, or it's pencil actually, are the kind of the things that are grouped, the subcategories within these. So you can kind of see them up, they stand out a little bit. Okay, going into emergency funds, I've broken this down to color coded, where the red are debts, the greens are like the bills that need to happen. Pink are some of the things can be cut, but I also have to have them to get by. Blue can definitely be cut if I lose my job, basically. And then sinking funds and emergency funds, these are the savings, basically. Sinking funds I don't want to cut in case I lose my job because you know, I have to pay my mortgage to myself, all of that type of stuff. Over here to the side, I have little dots, and those are, if I did lose my job, I would cut those expenses and be left with just the remaining ones to try to get by. So the whole thing about figuring out your emergency fund, this is how much a month, $42.12.75. I'm spending every single month or budgeting every single month, and I want to make sure that I have at least 3 to 6 months. Ideally, I'd like a year, but right now I'm working towards 3 months, because I think right now I have about a month. I would be able to survive a month without getting a job. You know, so that's where it's like the tree falling on my house cut into my savings. I was almost up to 3 months, but yeah, things happen. That's why I have emergency funds like that to pull from when I need to pay deductibles for insurance. Okay, going into subscription trackers. So we have the ones that I do monthly and the fees and when they're due. And then we have all the yearly ones that I have listed down here, and some of them include some of the business ones as well. This just kind of gives me an idea of when they're due. I put everything pretty much in alphabetical order, but not in date order. Oops. This is the 2025 utilities tracker, so it's kind of keeping track of the stuff that was on this a little bit, and maybe some more. I'm not quite sure. These are all to be filled out in 2025. Car maintenance, home maintenance, medical expenses, to figure out how much I'm actually spending on all of those. Debt snowball trackers. I am trying to get my debt paid off and everything like that. So I have 3 debts that I'm trying to get paid off. So we have credit card 2. It is due on the 13th. My goal is to have it paid off by the 31st. Current interest rate is, but right now it is still, I'm not going to fill the beginning amount in until January 1st, so I know what actually it is. And then as I pay off, I'll put the stuff over here and fill it out. Once I figure out the beginning balance, I'll come through and figure out what the percentages are over here and put the numbers along here. Same goes for the business credit card. Same setup. It's debt plan by the end of next year to get it paid off. It's due on the 15th. And then the one that I was able to fill out because I knew how much it was going to be was my loan for the equipment for my home security. It is nearly paid off. It is at $747. And people would say, well, why don't you pay it off? Well, because it has a 0% interest rate, and I would rather spend this. I mean, I'm only paying $62.25. That's $62.25 that I could put towards another debt, but I am more focused on paying off the one that has the higher interest rate at the moment. It's due on the 20th. It will be paid off by the end of the year. And I have already filled out the stuff. So basically every time I pay a minimum payment, it's almost going to pay like 10%. So it'll be paid by the end of the year. Then we have my business budget. I have editing. I get kind of like when I'm going shopping for things to show here on YouTube or stuff like that, I get rebates. I have Amazon affiliate, and I also have KDP where I get some royalties from the KDP and the Amazon affiliate stuff. Eventually, YouTube will monetize my channel. I need to get more viewers. I have subscribers, but I need to get more watch hours, but I also need to post the watch hours, or post to be able to get the watch hours. So, you know, that's a goal for next year. And then I am seriously looking at starting an Etsy shop so that way I can help pay off a lot of my debt. And then I just, for yearly, I kind of threw out some numbers for things. Some of those are accurate, some of those are not. But I just threw out numbers. I didn't do much research on them or any of that. And then this is the other side of the business budget where it's the year's total and taxes that I would need to pay for business expenses. Here are the savings trackers. So I pulled all of these savings trackers from this book. I saw this Elise Ratner on TikTok, and she had this book for sale on Amazon, and it has a bunch of different type of savings challenges. And I went through and picked out ones that I wanted to do, and I wanted to go ahead and kind of do one per quarter. but really and truly trying to save a little bit more throughout the year as well. So some of this stuff would be I need to repair the fence in the back of the house. I need to do some home maintenance stuff. So that's kind of where some of this stuff would go, but it's also to pay off debt as well. So we're going to start off with this one where it would end March 31st. It's more of a spring theme, even though I know January and February are like winter months, but we're ending in March. So it's $100 total for $900. So I'm like, each quarter has around 13 weeks. So it's kind of, there's extra time that I, would be able to pay off. The next one is summer themed. Have it paid off for June 30th. What I'm saving for, I have nothing planned at the moment. Then the autumn theme to be done by September 30th. And then the winter themed one to have done by the end of the year. So all of those were $900. And then this one I thought would be a good one for the end of the year. And why is this all kind of crooked? Oh well. Just an extra $150 or something like that, where it's the on the weeks that I wouldn't be saving, I'd look at the temperature and figure that out. And that would be the challenge I would do, just to earn, a little bit more throughout the year to put towards savings and everything. So, while still trying to focus on paying off debt and everything. So, but that is the setup for this year. I, again, am trying to get everything kind of set up and aligned and all of that type of stuff. And I am hoping to get back on track and pay off my debt. I keep saying that the past couple years, and I'm ready to be debt free and all of that. So I will check back in with you guys next time in my next video. Please make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so that way you are notified when I do post the videos. I am posting them very sporadically because I am trying to get my life back in together. And yes, that's where we're at. So I will check back with you guys next time. Bye everybody.